Does anyone else want to just hold hands and cry with a bunch of tissues? Scrap the rest of the Sunday. Thank you, John, and our music team for that song. And thank you, Daniel Nahmod, for writing that song. Sometimes music goes beyond what speaking could capture, right? So often it embodies something and gives us an experience that touches the heart, which is beyond what we can do when we're putting concepts into words. Music gives them life. That song grounds us, doesn't it, in our true purpose. It grounds us in the realization that as far as we know, in this body, in this form, at this time and space, I'm here, and there will be a time, there will be a day where this body, this form, is not here in the same way. In the same way. And sometimes we can go about our lives. I mean, it really amazes me, actually, sometimes, what we create, because all of these constructs, everything, from our homes to what we do, to putting our kids in schools, to our government, to traveling or not traveling, to, the clothes we wear, all of it is stuff that we just made up. We just made up. Like, let's do it like this. How about that? And then it evolved from what the people before us made up, right? So a lot of it we inherited. But I mean, things could be radically different. And then we go along day to day acting like it's normal. Even the fact that we're in a body. That we're in a body and somehow we're in this and, it's not like we can just say, okay, done with the body or this or that. Like, we're in it and we're walking around and it does all these amazing things and it's also really intense and then we walk around and go grocery shopping with a bunch of these other bodies. And then there's all these other things, animals, trees, all this stuff growing around us. And we just wake up each day and we do it, live it. But imagine if you could just step out of that reality for a second and step back into it. You would look at the person sitting next to you and going, what is this? You'd probably grab their hand and be like, what are we doing here? So thus that becomes part of the human condition. To look at that question, what are we doing here? What's my purpose? But we can fall asleep to it, and we can stop asking it, and we can just go along. Watching our television, living our lives, doing our jobs, driving on the highway. But when we're on the spiritual path, once we've seen a glimmer of light, once we've awakened to something within that is beyond time and space, that is beyond form, once we've gotten just a glimpse or a touch of the part of us that is existent beyond this body, that is existent in this field of living energy, from the moment we get a glimpse of that, we cannot fall back asleep, can we? That question becomes more of a living field in our lives that all things contribute to. That question of what is my impact? What is my impact? And we can drive ourselves crazy with that question because we can make it very big, very big. We are on the second to last week of a series based on the book Hands-Free Life by Rachel Macy Stafford, 9 Habits for Overcoming Distraction, Living Better, and Loving More. And this week's exploration is to leave a legacy, to look at leaving a legacy. That has to do with impact, does it not? Impact. And that can feel pretty huge. What is my impact? I've thought to myself, because I overthink a lot of things, but I thought to myself a long time ago, I thought about my impact and, what does success mean or what is my life here? And my always and only prayer is, let me be here, let me be what I came here to be, let me do what I came here to do. Like deep within me, there is a knowing of why I came here at this time and space. Let me be on track with it. Let nothing distract me from it. Or if I may be distracted, let me slide back in and let that be my sole purpose. But I thought to myself when thinking about impact, I thought, truth principle, there is no possibility that someone living in a small village that impacts their family, the people just right around them from day to day, there's no possibility that there is less power in that impact than someone who the whole world knows. There's no possibility that any life can not be perfectly, wholly, and completely valuable, that the impact wherever we are is whole and complete and huge. But when we think about leaving a legacy, when we think about having an impact, we tend to go along with other forms or inherited ideas or human concepts of success and importance. Success and importance. Rachel makes it simple in this chapter of this book. She says there are 3 things to leaving a legacy. One is to grasp simple joys. To grasp simple joys. The next is to speak about your dreams. Speak about what inspires you. Speak about what impacts you in your own life. Just speak about it. Share it. Pass it on. Pass it over. Give it up. Give it out. And the third is to be kind to yourself. To demonstrate kindness. To be kind to self, therefore being kind to others. To stop bullying ourselves and start loving ourselves. And from that place, stop bullying others and start loving them. Start being a presence of love. Last week I said something that I realized this week may have been interesting for some people to hear. May have seemed like a non-truth, a lie. I said last week that no doubt you are sitting next to a guru, someone with a spiritual gift that would blow your mind. And I realized that for some people, that may have made them uncomfortable, and I may need to clarify. I said to get to know the person sitting next to you, because chances are they are a mystic. Chances are they have a sacred spiritual gift that would bless your life. Chances are they are someone you need to know. So look to your left, look to your right, look in front of you, look behind you. Some of you may have wondered what I'm talking about. You may have thought, wow, really, the person sitting next to me, that's amazing. But you may have for a moment turned it around on yourself and thought I was mistaken. You may have turned it around on yourself and said, I'm pretty ordinary. There is nothing ordinary about you. There is nothing ordinary about any of us. If it entered your mind at all that it's possible the person sitting next to you isn't a living miracle, or it's possible that the person sitting in your seat isn't a living miracle, you haven't met them yet, and you haven't met yourself yet. But we tend to devalue the ordinary and have these ideas and ideals about what is extraordinary and what is spectacular. You know, whenever spiritual teachers teach about enlightenment, it's such a downer. It's such a downer because everyone's expecting like bliss and fireworks, and the most grounded teachers just show up and they're like, and you sit there like, really? Because like, we've talked about this a lot. There's got to be, yeah. You are a living legacy. I heard some words of impact this week. An amazing Pentecostal minister who shared with our AGNT, our Association for Global New Thought. She was one of the keynote speakers. And she gave a passionate talk. And one of the things she said was, you are someone's ancestor. We, all together, we are someone's ancestors. All of us. We are the history upon which the future is built. Every one of us. We are the birthplace, the seed for what comes next. Whether we like it or not, we are living legacies. And we are living in critical times. The time of the moment probably has always been a critical time, no? There was a man who wrote a biography on Gandhi that also presented, and he gave a different perspective, a different angle. You know, we talk a lot about Gandhi and the impact, the global impact, the national impact, like how many people Gandhi impacted, like Gandhi to the world. And when he was doing his research, when he was making his connections, when he was listening to stories, he heard all of these micro stories, these stories of one-to-one impact, one-to-one impact. People that, in a moment with Gandhi, changed their entire life, the course of their entire life. And I ruminated on that idea that, in fact, that impact wasn't just a big bang, right? That impact was a person-to-person roll of thunder that grew into a movement around him, that grew into a field around him, and ended up having a huge impact. But it started in incredibly simple, ordinary moments. Incredibly simple, ordinary moments that one could probably not even imagine would grow into a force field of energy. I think the master teacher walked the planet in that way. A series of moments coming from bold, authentic presencing, coming from a way of showing up. But we can tease ourselves and trick ourselves into thinking we don't matter and thinking we don't have an impact. Do you recognize, even if you never meet the person next to you, even if you never come out of your own space or your own worldview or your own identity and connect with the world around, do you realize that you still have a major impact? Think about the impact that it has on all of us when someone doesn't seemingly participate. That's an impact. When we are not a welcoming space for the people and the world around us, when we don't reach out, that's an impact, doesn't it? It has an impact. You know, I love what people say when they come to the Midwest. They love it because they come here and they say, you know, people look at you, people connect with you, people like welcome you like it's a heart-to-heart space. People don't just walk by. They see you. Even in a very diverse, you know, in some ways, area, where some people would say, well, that doesn't seem like I would fit there or I would belong there, or it doesn't seem like I would resonate with a lot of the beliefs there or a lot of the thinking there. What is beautiful and what is amazing is that connection, that heart-to-heart, that one-to-one supersedes all of that, does it not? It supersedes all of the world's ideas, all of our beliefs because it's love, it's connection, and it's real. How we live and what we do can seem insignificant. But Gandhi said, whatever you do will be insignificant. But it is very important that you do it. Whatever you do will be insignificant, but it is very important you do it. Imagine that just for a moment. I love this game. You just zoom in. You just zoom into right here and you can feel, powerful. You can feel awake, feel alive, feel like you have an impact. And then just zoom out like a camera. Have you seen those Planet Earth, those Google Earths? Just keep zooming. And then go to the galaxy, see Planet Earth, go to the cosmos. In this street corner right here, this little village is so tiny. We are like ants. I one time met my mom in Grand Central Station after having been in ministerial school and, immersed in the unity bubble for quite some time. And so I went from this we're such beings of light. We all have an impact, be the change you want to see in the world. Our power. And then I went to Grand Central Station, where you are like a flea on an ant. And you see how many of us there are. And for me, it just put me in a tailspin. Oh. It can't possibly be true that we're anything. Like, we are actually ants. We are that tiny. We are ants. So there is a way to see and to live that our humanity can see that everything and anything we do is insignificant. And there is also a perspective and a way to live that we know that everything we are is a living, breathing legacy, a living, breathing expression of the Most High in the one moment that is the only moment that exists, and that is ours to seize that moment, and that in fact seizing that one moment makes it completely insignificant. We don't have to plan for the future. We don't have to figure out the past. We don't have to fix anything. We don't have to heal anything. All we have to do is come so completely present in this moment to allow ourselves to be the true life that we are, boldly, courageously, authentically. And when that happens, we have deep impact as one entity, as one life. It's like a meteor. The smallest particle can move from space and have a huge impact on a planet. But as far as the cosmos go, it's so minute. What keeps us from having a positive impact? What keeps us from living our lives on purpose? One thing is that we become anesthetized sometimes. We become a little jaded because we feel too much. There's too much to feel, so we just stop feeling. There's too much disappointment, too much to be discouraged about. So we just level out. We just begin to exist. And when we turn off that feeling center, we turn off our co-creative powers. Because if you look back in the Unity teachings in Myrtle Fillmore, it wasn't just affirmative prayer. It wasn't just thought. Unity's foundation wasn't just about teaching, hold these words, just think these words, hold these words, just keep holding them, keep thinking them. Has anyone felt a prayer that did nothing? Has anyone ever felt that or heard that? A prayer that it was spoken and it was just like, I don't know what happened. Maybe you even feel more empty and disconnected than you did before the prayer started. And then anyone felt something that didn't even seem like a prayer, that you just felt it at the core of your body, the core of your being. You got the bumps all over and it just emanated and radiated and you were just prayed up. If we shut down our feeling center, that's half the equation. It's the thought feeling body that co-creates, that puts life into motion, that circulates energy. What keeps us from having a positive impact? Ignorance. Too much spin going on in the world. So clumping, categorizing, assuming, looking only at our own perception and perspective, and invalidating other experiences. When we do that, we stop, we shut down, or we never start learning. We can become intoxicated by consumerism, intoxicated by fear, intoxicated by the news, intoxicated by distractions. Wayne Mueller, who every time I see this man, many of us know his work, anytime I see this man, I melt. He just has a way of getting to the heart and being in the movement of spirit. But he says that vision without action is fantasy. Vision without action is fantasy. Sometimes what keeps us from having a positive impact is that we stay in our imagination. We stay in the worlds that are not quite real. We get zoned out, or we zone so deeply into the imaginary. Sometimes that can look like having so many friends on social media that it's blowing up your feed and not talking to the person next to you. Sometimes that can look like diving into a TV world and not getting out your front door. If we look deeply enough, we probably find that we all have a way, that we live in the imaginary, or we all have a way that we become intoxicated. We all have the way to check out. It is one of the greatest gifts we can give ourselves, to become so intimate with that way that we know it, that we recognize it, so that we can presence it, so that we can consciously choose. I'm consciously engaging in my vices to check out. And then what happens? It becomes different than checking out. It becomes something that we use for our practice rather than we be used by it to fall asleep. Vision without action is fantasy. Many of us don't start to have an impact, or don't follow through because we're waiting for something. The illusion is that there are any excuses that are valid enough. Like, I don't have an audience. I don't have the resources. I don't have the finances. I don't have the access. I don't have the power. I don't have the connection. I don't have the support. I don't have the partnership. Fill in the blank. One of our biggest mistakes is thinking that we know where our impact will come from and what it will be and what we need to do to have it. Because the truth is, we need nothing. We need nothing that we haven't already been given. We need nothing that is not fully in our being right now, ready to express in ways that would shock us and surprise us. Bill Gates said most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 10 years. We are constantly underestimating and overestimating ourselves. The truth is most likely more that something within us that seems the most ordinary to us, that we may have even missed, that we may have actually missed about ourselves, will become the fabric of the extraordinary in someone else's life. Will have a deep impact on the world around us. will pass on a legacy. I have a beloved friend who has taught me about the bridge between the magical and the normal. Who lives life acknowledging earth's spirits and fairies and a power and a presence that brings a sweetness to life that was beyond my imagining. I have friends who can make anything special, who can make a little baggie for a plane trip, a little to-go package when you take a flight that makes you feel like you're not traveling from one place to the next, that instead you're in a beautiful space of wonder, who can turn a TV show, an Oscars event, into their own private red carpet when they ask you to dress up and walk down the carpet, who make holidays special because they do these sweet, special things that somehow freeze time and make memories. Who host a party, but it's more than a party because they bring soul to it. My dad is one who, growing up, he would always say, when I would ask for things, like a TV in my room, I thought that was a really good idea. And I knew a lot of other people had it, so all the time I asked, every year I asked, can I have a TV in my room? I even tried for one of those, remember the big box square ones when they came out that were only black and white? Could I have one of those? And he stopped me one time. He wouldn't even know probably that this is a moment. We've all had these moments, right? You've had these moments where it's like time stops and that becomes the fabric of how you live your entire life. And he said to me, Erin, a lot of people, they fix stuff around the house and we had green shag carpet. A lot of people may rip up the shag carpet and put new stuff down, and they may have TVs in every room. They may do all of those things. He said, I choose to spend time. We choose to spend time. And so we spent our time watching musicals. We spent our time reading together. We spent our time playing family games. And one of the greatest pieces of impact was that we spent our time traveling. So when he shared that with me, he said, we do things like, I choose to take you guys with me on a trip instead of getting that thing or this thing. Instead of buying material, we make moments. And this is a man who, looking back on it now, when he's a statistician, a professor, and then he does other consulting work. And so when I was I'm guessing it was about 5th grade, he took us on one of his business trips. And it was probably around this time that he shared that with me. And he took us to Egypt. But get this, now looking back on it, he's crazy. This man took my whole family, which is my stepmother, 2 older sisters, and then my babyest little brother who was just born. So I guess it was 6th grade. This little baby to Egypt, and my grandmother. I shouldn't say it like that, but and my grandmother. And he took us with him because that was his value. That was his value. Think about all the other things he could have done for himself or other ways to share that, spend that. And my life has changed because of that. A couple years later, he took us to Ireland. And I knew that my time with my family, that time having experience, that time learning about other people, other cultures, time traveling, I knew that to me, that was more important than anything I would ever own, have in my pockets, have in my home, or drive. And it became foundational for how I live my life. no doubt it probably led me to where I am now. Because at every turn, when I got to make decisions, and I said, am I going to make that decision and do that because of money? Or am I going to become a teacher because I know that if I think about the one thing I would do if no one even paid me, it would be spend time with kids. And then when I asked myself that question again in life, and I said, what would it be now? And I realized what was really immersing my life and my time. And I realized the books I was reading and the thoughts I was having and the conversations with people. I realized in that moment, this is what I'll do. It's this direction now. Those choices would not have been possible had I had a value system that told me to go for stuff in life, that told me to go for money in life. I would only have that experience if I had a grounded experience of what real value and real success was to me, not to someone else, to me. It's those small moments, talking about shag carpet, that we may have no idea we are leaving a legacy. Rachel says, if you should happen to catch a glimpse of what really matters in life, regard it with care, decorate it with flowers, cover it with love, hold it in the sunshine, give it a little bit of time and attention. And when the world tries to push you forward, listen to your heart instead. Because if you don't make time for what really matters, no one is going to do it for you. I'm getting an image of Jesus having his feet washed. When it was said, oh, no, let's not do that. And he said, shh, shh, shh. This is the moment. She goes on to say, because if you don't make time for what really matters, no one is going to do it for you. Taking a few minutes to savor everyday wonders makes the heart fuller, the inner doubts quieter, and the human connections stronger. And that's when the ordinary becomes extraordinary for yourself and for those who share your life. Shannon Adler says, carve your name on the hearts, not tombstones. A legacy is etched into the minds of others and the stories they share about you. We are someone's ancestors. Namaste. So we stand on this foundation of unity. And let us circulate our tithes, our love offerings, knowing and honoring those who have come before us, and knowing what a significant impact it makes that we source this spiritual community, that we source the unity movement, and we offer it out to our world. Feel that impact that you have in this moment, and let us bless the offering knowing that impact. Together. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I want to share one last thing for you, if we can get the slide. So I've had something on my mind for quite some time. Every time I'm around a brother or sister that's African American, I've had this impulse, and I just feel it in my body, and I want to say to them, your life matters. Your son's life matters. Your father's life matters. Your uncle's life matters. Your daughter's life matters. Your life matters. To me, it matters. And I don't say it. I've had a beautiful woman taking my blood, and I just looked at her, and I just said it in my mind. Taking my blood at the doctor's office, And I didn't say it. Anyway, I was talking to one of my minister friends, Reverend Kevin Ross, who's African American. I was talking to him at this conference this last week. And I said, you know what I always want to do, but I just don't know if it's stupid or if I'd it's about be uncomfortable, if I shouldn't. And I said, this is what I want, And he said, do it. I said, I just do it invisibly now. And he said, why don't you do it? I think you should do it. And I was coming back from my last trip, and I was on the plane, and I sat next to these two beautiful women. And I sat down, and we had almost the whole plane ride, and we said nothing. And then the woman to my right, she got up, and she went to the restroom, and I went to the restroom at the front of the plane, and we came back at the same time and sat down. And as we sat down, it just came over me, and I looked at her, and I just said, your life matters. Your uncle's life matters. Your son's life matters. Your brother's life matters. Your nephew's life matters. Your daughter's life matters. I just want you to know it matters to me. And she put her hand on her heart. And she said that she has been impacted and that she will always remember this moment. It will be a life moment. And then, of course, she started blessing me with accolades as we sat there and talked. And she said, that's all that is wanted, is to know that someone's seen and someone matters. And she said, in my world, when this moment happens, you become family. You are now my family. And this is a picture of us. She said, let's get a picture. So this is a picture of us on the plane on the way back, and that's a text between us, texting back, I love you too. And here's the kicker. Ready for the next slide? We connect on Facebook, and we connect more in that conversation. It says, who you must be to live free. Unbeknownst to me, I was sitting next to a mystic, a guru, a woman of soul and spirit, a woman that is blessing this world. Let's go to the next slide. This is her work. The woman that I was sitting next to, that I could have said nothing to. This is her work. The 7 behaviors. We're going to have her speak sometime, I think. I'm pretty sure. The 7 behaviors. Be truthful, be courageous, be loving, be detached, be faithful, be still, be happy. Let us all know that we are sitting next to a living miracle. Amen? Amen. And that will help us not be jaded.